All right, here we are back with another episode of the Uncivilized Art podcast. I'm your host, Blimi Hazan, but I go by Bandit Haze in the online space. And today I'm joined by my bestest internet male presenting friend. I'm trying to be as politically correct as possible. How you doing, sweet Bundy?
I'm doing good. I'm just hanging in there, man. You know, just got done with Wrestlemania
Oh, yes,
weekend,
yes, yes.
so that's been exciting. Could have been better, but we'll talk about that in a bit.
Indeed, indeed. So this episode of the Uncivilized Art podcast is going to be a little bit different. Maybe not too different than what we normally do, but just a little bit different. We were supposed to talk about Delicious in Dungeon, the anime based on the manga. We were supposed to talk about that with our dear friend Celeste Orchid, but unfortunately Celeste is ill today. So please, everybody, wish her well, send her love and positive thoughts. And we'll hopefully be talking about that when she's better on the next episode. But because Cell is not with us today, we just figured we'll talk about some general geeky stuff. We're going to be talking about some of the shows we've been watching, a little bit of WrestleMania, as Bunny just mentioned, some shows, movies, games that we've been watching, playing, things like that. Maybe some stuff we've been looking forward to. We'll try and keep this episode relatively spoiler free. That being said, I think we're going to be talking pretty freely. So warning, there may be some accidental spoilers up ahead, just so you're warned, just in case. Hopefully nothing too major, but yeah, just so you know, where that might happen. But yeah, just gonna be a general geek discussion of geeky stuff that we've been up to in the last however long. So yeah, let's talk about WrestleMania, as you mentioned already. I didn't watch WrestleMania, not all of it anyway. I saw what happened with what's his name, Roman Reigns, when he got betrayed by
Paul Heyman,
Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman low blowed him in his match against who was it? It wasn't CM
Seth
Punk, was
Rollins,
it?
and CM Punk.
Was both of them. Okay. Oh wait, was it a
Yeah,
triple threat match, or what kind of match was
yeah,
it? It
triple
was a
threat.
triple threat. Okay, okay. Because I saw Rollins in the ring. I don't think I saw, because I saw the clip on what do you call it, on the Instagram. So they had a clip where Paul Heyman low blows him. He betrays
Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns. I'm getting the R's mixed up. Sorry, he betrays
Mhm.
Roman Reigns. And then I think Rollins gets the win. But yeah, CM Punk wasn't in that particular clip. So what happened in that match? What was the story going in? Because I know there was something about Paul Heyman being with CM Punk years ago. CM Punk was a Paul Heyman guy, and of course, I know Heyman's been with Roman Reigns for the past 2 years? Been a little while now. You know, the whole tribal chief and that whole thing. So what was the story kind of going into WrestleMania, and what was the outcome? Because I'm pretty sure you kept up with it way more than I did.
So, about 10 years ago, when CM Punk was last in WWE, he was having a great run. Won the championship from John Cena at one point, and of course, it went back to John Cena or somebody else. Um, and CM Punk got trapped in this loop of nonsense, and all he wanted was the main event for WrestleMania. That's pretty much all he wanted. That was like on his bucket list. And Paul Heyman, who was one of his partners and really helped solidify this new. Not that CM Punk needed it, but it did bring a new element of CM Punk being this Paul Heyman guy, and their chemistry was, you know, fucking perfect. Anyway, long story short, it was a promise. He said, "Listen, at the time, he said, I can't promise you WrestleMania main event yet, but when it is your time, I will be the one to walk with you." So all these years later, um, CM Punk, they kept surrounding. All right, so CM Punk has a favor from Paul Heyman, and they kept making it a mystery. They don't know what it is. At the time, Paul Heyman has been in a partnership with Roman Reigns for years at this point, several years, and been undyingly loyal. Um, so now CM Punk says, "Well, you're my best friend, and all these years you promised me you're gonna be the one to walk me down there. That's what I want. I want you to walk with me down that ramp." So Paul Heyman accepts, even though Roman Reigns was like, pissed off about it because Paul Heyman is known as Roman Reigns' wise guy, like his
Mm.
not mentor but advisor. Um, there's already history between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns because they used to be in a partnership in the Shield. This group named the Shield,
Yeah,
along with a
yeah,
wrestler that's no longer in the company.
yeah. He went to
And
AEW.
yeah, and Seth Rollins ended up betraying Roman Reigns all those years ago. So there's already animosity between those two. There's already hatred between CM Punk and Seth Rollins because before CM Punk actually left the company, he used to, back then it was toxic in WWE a little bit or a little bit more than it is now. And CM Punk, he had some words with Seth Rollins outside of character, and they brought that into the storyline as well. So they were just riding off that feud. They just had a feud in storyline where they were fighting and fighting, and it was intense. So now this all accumulates to WrestleMania, where all three of them are involved. All of them have history with each other, and um, Paul Heyman ends up betraying CM Punk, and it looks like he's siding with Roman Reigns again, but he ends up betraying Roman Reigns and siding with Seth Rollins. So that was crazy, mind blowing, and one hell of a way to end night one of WrestleMania.
Okay, so I mean, I haven't seen the Raw after WrestleMania. Or has that even aired yet? By the way, I think
Yeah,
that would have aired yesterday. I think actually.
yeah.
Have you seen that? Do you know what happens next? Or
Oh, so CM Punk comes out to confront Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins, but they get into a fight, and Roman Reigns comes out. They get into a fight. Uh, Roman Reigns actually punches Paul Heyman with one of his with his Superman punch. That's when he runs towards you and just jumps
hmm,
up and does his punch. Um, Knocked Paul Heyman down, but before he could do anything else and get to Seth Rollins as well, this guy named Braun Breaker, who's actually if I'm not mistaken, Scott Steiner's son or his
okay,
nephew, one of the two. He comes out and uh Braun Breaker is fucking phenomenal. This guy he's young, he's fast, he's strong. The impacts of his spears is intense. I'm surprised that he hasn't injured anybody legitimately. Uh the force that he hits you with is incredible to see. This guy could run like 20 some miles per hour in the damn ring just by running back and forth against the ropes or even running around the ring and building up momentum. This guy is a top tier, um, you know, athlete. This guy is just great. So he comes in, he spears Roman Reigns. They beat down CM Punk, and now there's this new alliance between Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, and Braun Breaker. So
Seth
that's where
Rollins,
it's at right
Paul
now.
Heyman, and Bron. Okay, so CM Punk's he's not with Paul Heyman. Roman Reigns is not with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman, just being a snake that he is, I guess, is now, but just went against both of them and has gone with Rollins. Okay,
Seth
okay,
Rollins. Yeah.
all right,
So
fair,
this is
fair.
very interesting, especially for me personally. I've grown very tired of Seth Rollins. Um, Great wrestler, amazing wrestler, uh, top tier performer. But personally, his gimmick has gotten old to me. Has gotten grating. It's this weird pseudo Joker style, Joker inspired gimmick that is flashy, flamboyant, preachy, and arrogant. And it's like I just grown tired of it. It's been annoying for a while to me. So seeing Paul Heyman get involved and seeing the potential of a transformation of his gimmick, I'm very excited. Very excited.
Okay. But I just looked it up on the way. So Braun Breaker is the son of Rick Steiner and the nephew of Scott Steiner. That's according to Google Gemini. So Google Gemini AI in general isn't always super accurate, but hopefully it's got that one right at least.
I believe it. That sounds right.
Cool. So I did see some of Wrestlemania. I watched the match with like everybody's in right now. John Cena and Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare. I saw what happened. I saw sort of build up to this story. Of course, John Cena being a babyface for years and years and years in the WWE, and loads of people wanted him to turn heel for the longest time, and he never would do it. He always felt like it was bad for business. And of course, now 2025 being his retirement year, and being a 16-time world champion, is he gonna go to 17 and beat their record that he's currently tied with Ric Flair with? And that was kind of the thing leading up to it. I saw what happened with The Rock and Cody Rhodes, where The Rock wanted Cody Rhodes to be his champion. He was like, "Join me, give me your soul," and all that kind of stuff. I don't know when The Rock became like a demon hunter or whatever, but I saw that clip. And then, Cody Rhodes turns him down. He's celebrating with John Cena. Rock makes that signal, like cutting the neck signal, and then we just see John Cena switch. We see Cena switch on Cody Rhodes, and Cena, after all these years, becomes a bad guy for the first time in his career, I believe. He becomes a bad guy, and it's a big thing. It's a big deal, and he's been doing it well. I saw a few other clips when he's just like cussing out that kid in the audience, talking about, "That kid, you're toxic," and he's single that one kid. It's like, bro, I hope that was a plant. I hope that was a plant and not some genuine kid who was an actual fan just getting cussed out by John Cena, because boy, that would have been heartbreaking. And yes, I saw the match. I happened to be I was coming back from work, and I was late because it's on late over here, by the way, in the UK, because of they're showing it live on Netflix.
Yeah.
And so I was back late, and I was like, all right, let me just stay up and watch this. I'm up late already anyway. And so I watched a little bit of Wrestlemania. I saw some of the matches with the girls. I ain't gonna lie, I weren't paying too much attention to most of it. But yeah, that match came on. Put the volume up, watch the match. And it was a decent match, I'd say, in my opinion. I don't know if I'd say it was a great match, but it was good enough. I mean, it had all the things you'd want in a match, like the near misses and all that kind of stuff, the kick outs and everybody kicking out there, everyone, people's special moves and things like that. So I had all the stuff, and of course the bits where other people get involved, referee getting knocked out, and things, could he get a win, but the referee's knocked out, all that kind of stuff that you kind of expect in a match. So it wasn't a bad match at all by any stretch. But then the ending with John Cena pleading to Cody Rhodes to not hit him, and Cody Rhodes deciding to be the good guy and chooses to be the good guy, ended up costing him the match because John Cena isn't the good guy no more. John Cena took the opportunity to deliver the low blow, hit him with the championship belt, get the referee back in the ring, and cover for the 1, 2, 3. And we saw John Cena, bad guy John Cena, become a 17-time world champion, holding the record for total, at least the record in WWE world, for number of title reigns times won the title. So yeah, it was a pretty big deal. It's a pretty cool match. John 17 is what we just witnessed. What did you think of the match and the build up and all that kind of stuff to Cena versus Rhodes?
The buildup was pretty good. I mean, how it started, honestly, The Rock, he's been pissing me off personally. Just been pissing me off. I don't like how he's been dipping in and out of the storylines. He's been forcing himself into storylines, and I feel like the first time he did it, at least he was there to finish it. But I think that was just because he was able to wrestle in the main event, and I think that was just too enticing. These are all assumptions by me, only because he had no, I don't know this for certain, but he had no good reason not to be there. For WrestleMania, he was involved in that storyline. He's one of the key components of it. He's the one that initiated this change, and just left. It feels like he just left it to John Cena to carry it the rest of the way. Um, and don't get me wrong, John did a great job. But this is WrestleMania where you're supposed to pull out all stops. Last year, I was very disappointed because I felt like the perfect thing was for Stone Cold to be there, but because they didn't pay him enough, apparently, he didn't show up. So they got Undertaker, and they didn't even get the Undertaker. They got Mark Calloway to do that spot at the end because he was in plain clothes. He wasn't dressed as the Undertaker. They just played the gong, blacked out the fucking thing, and then you got Mark Calloway standing there to do the choke slam or whatever the fuck he did. It was just lackluster. It made no sense. They try to justify it. I don't give a fuck how they try to justify it. It would have made more sense with Stone Cold. I don't care what anyone who says otherwise, you're in denial. And that's that. But anyway, yeah, The Rock not being there really hurt the show. At least for that match with John Cena and Cody Rhodes, because Cody Rhodes is more than just the champ. He's the face of the company. He represents the future. He's, the champ. So for even John Cena, who's, phenomenal and he's great and everything, um, he shouldn't, storyline wise, it needs to be more of a fight. It can't just be a fucking random ass rapper come in, interfere, and then
Yeah.
Cody gets tricked at the
Was it
end. So it wasn't even
Travis
Travis
Scott? Yeah,
Scott
yeah,
that
yeah.
really, yeah. So it's like it was very disappointing. It was lackluster because it's like this is something that storyline wise, you fought 2 years to get, and you stopped all challenges. You've been through all these cheating motherfuckers before, and you're telling me you can't see through John Cena? So storyline wise, it just made Cody look bad, in my opinion, only because the obstacles were not high enough. The obstacles need to be high enough, and John Cena is not able to perform at the level that he could fucking 10, 15 years ago. And I don't blame him for that. Everybody gets older and they grow at their own pace, and we don't know what he had going on health wise. Look at Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is a survivor of cancer. He actually takes medication as he's wrestling. So we don't know what anybody's going through. So I would never blame it on that. I just feel like you have a duty, and this goes on The Rock again. You have a duty to participate. If you do not have time, if you're not committed to this, then don't show up. Don't show up. We don't need you to show up, because we could have still had that Cody and John Cena thing without The Rock being there. And The Rock should not have been there. And if you're gonna be there, continue to be there. You don't have to be there every fucking show. If he just showed his fucking face, whatever. Anyway, the reason why I'm upset is mainly because it was lackluster. I cared more about some other matches on the show than the main event. The main event is the main event, and this is supposed to be historic. That John Cena is coming back. This is his last WrestleMania, et cetera, et cetera. And you got to pull out all the stops. They didn't do that. So that's how I feel
I
about
think it's
that
fair.
match right there
That's fair.
specifically.
I think that's fair. Like I said, it was an okay match. Like it felt very much play by numbers in terms of like I said, it hit all the things he's supposed to do. The kickouts, the referee gets knocked out, counts behind the back, all that kind of stuff. It's typical of any kind of match they'll do, but there was nothing really that stood out. And Travis Scott, I mean, I don't know much about Travis Scott as a rapper. I know he's been involved with this. To what end, I'm not entirely sure because I haven't followed it that closely, but I know he was at the whole thing with The Rock and the soul, giving me a soul thing. Then he comes out and it's kind of like, okay, cool. But then, yeah, it didn't really mean much. It's like, all right. But yeah, had The Rock shown up, that could have been much more interesting. And I think, I think you're right. If you can't commit to the full story, then maybe it's best you're not involved at all. Certainly when it comes to stories this big, it is John Cena's last WrestleMania. At least that's what being told. I mean, wrestling, who knows, right? But as far as we know right now, this is his last year in WWE. It's his last WrestleMania. It's the last anything he does with the WWE, at least in a wrestling capacity. Um, and there's this whole
Even
thing
if
kind
they
of being
had
built up, and
The
it's
Rock
like,
show a
hmm,
fucking video on the Titantron, that would have sufficed. At the bare minimum,
yeah,
have some
yeah,
involvement. But to not even be there, it just made Cody look weak. I don't like that shit. It made Cody look weak. I love Cody as a performer and everything, and I feel like Cody has the potential and greatness to be one of these greats. And when you have moments like this, it's like you're fucking pushing him back. You're making him climb up that damn mountain, and he doesn't have that many years left. This man is already in his 40s, if I'm not mistaken.
Rhodes.
He's not young enough. Yeah, he's not young enough where we could go ahead and say, yeah, we could take our time with this. No, we don't have to give him everything. Like I love the fact that he lost the first time he went against Roman. That was great. Nobody saw that coming, and then they made it work anyway. People doubted them. I didn't. I knew they were gonna build it up anyway. So I was glad when he lost the first time, and then I was rooting for him the second time. So yeah, I love Cody Rhodes as a champion, and I don't like to see this shit. I feel like we need to set up for the future. Um, and that's why I look at this whole him and John Cena thing is about setting up for the future, but at the same time, you don't got that much time with Cody. So let's not make him look weak. We got to make every big battle that he has to earn that victory, or they have the person that he goes against has to earn their victory. It has to at the end of the day, the job is to make him look strong. And that's what I feel like they dropped the ball at with this match between him and John Cena. To me, he did not look strong at the end. He looked weak. He looked like an amateur. I'm not saying that he wrestled like one. I'm saying when it all came down for him to fall for the tricks that he fell for, it's like, come on, bro. It's if this is at the end of the day, this is a show, and you have characters involved, and it shows no like if your character is falling for the same shit each and every single time, that tells you that the character is dumb.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think like where it ended with Cena hitting him with the belt and that kind of thing, there was some time between him hitting him with the belt and then the referee getting it. It wasn't a massive amount of time to be fair, but there was still a little bit of time. It weren't like a straight cover. So like I was kind of thinking, is he going to kick out? Like that would have been like one more kick out. You know what I mean? One more kick out.
It was
And it's like,
supposed. I
oh,
feel like it was supposed to be. I don't know what happened. Uh, I don't know if there was like somebody fucked up somewhere, but it just felt like it was a mistake a little bit. The ref bump was atrocious. That shit was atrocious. I've never seen a weaker ref bump. You know,
mm,
it was terrible.
mm.
All he did was get bumped into in the fucking corner, and not even hard.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the referees. Like, I mean, if you go back to, I guess, more Attitude Era, maybe into like the 2000s as well, like when a ref gets bumped, and it got to a point where it's just silly. You know, it's like
I
I mean,
mean, yeah, but at the same time, it's one of those things where, as wrestling fans, we expect it, right? We
sure,
expect
sure,
there to
sure.
be a
No,
ref bump. But you
that's not what I
can't
mean.
pull
That's what
us
I
out
mean.
the illusion. Yeah, you can't pull us out the illusion of it, because that's when you're doing something bad. The
Yeah,
whole
no,
point is to be like, when it finally happens, like, oh shit, here we go. That's supposed to be the reaction, not like, oh, that what the fuck was that?
right.
That
And that's
was
what I
my
mean. It's
that
like
was me and
there's
others' reactions when that shit happened. Was what the fuck was that?
Yeah, because like you got so many ref bumps, and like a lot of them back then were like not much more than taps and stuff like that, like a little bump or a little tap, and it was like, no, now you're out for like 3 hours or whatever. And it's like, come on, man, it was cool the first time. We keep doing this, and it's not even that. Like I say, it's not bad. I've got the ref bumps, like you say, we when they're done well, it's great, and but I do feel like there's a point where, and especially in a big match like this, a ref being bumped that week and then being out for that long, you know what I mean? It's yeah, it doesn't go well. It doesn't go well. So it's not so much like the refs. Of course, the refs are going to get bumped. Of course, the refs are going to get taken out. Like, but I feel like that you need to be more creative in the ways that you do it. Be more creative in the ways that you do it. Make it look like they get. I mean, you don't hurt nobody. I'm saying that, of course. Don't injure people, but make it look better than it is. Because especially for these big matches, that come on, man, that you got to get more creative with this. It was generic. It was
Yeah,
generic. It wasn't bad. It was just generic.
yeah.
You mentioned something real quick before we move on from Wrestle about the sort of toxic times in WWE. I mean, you probably know more of this than I do, I'd imagine, but I have heard bits and pieces of it be in a better environment now that Triple H is more in charge versus when Vince McMahon was more in charge. Is that the case from what you're hearing, or is it the same or near enough to, and only a few people benefit?
I feel like it's more positive for more than a few reasons. One, um, I think the main reason is because times are different. Back then, where if you have one of these wrestlers trying to go ahead and expose the company, where are they going to go to? There was no competition really that really went against WWE back then.
Mm,
Um, whether AEW wasn't there or they were just starting out, there was no competition to go to. Um, People didn't really care about it. We would dismiss it as like you're bitching, you're bitching. Now, if one of those wrestlers they start tweeting about, oh, so and so said this to me, chances are they're going to get a lot of support. Um, with social media being like really up there now and being able to reach anybody, it gives a lot of opportunities and a lot of exposure and all that. So I think that's the main reason. Second reason is when Triple H he's been at, he was a performer, so he understands and relates to the people more. Vince McMahon comes from old school where I even watched the documentary with him. He was talking about his past, and he's like, I always wanted to hear my father say he was proud or some shit he was saying about his father. His father
mm,
wouldn't give him that. It made him more hard boiled. It made him realize, oh, I'm being a bitch. At least that's how he felt how he felt he was being. And I think because of that, he started treating his superstars like that. He didn't give a fuck. He wanted things to be the way he wanted them to be. And if you fought him, you better be on your top game because he could just fire you right there on the spot. He doesn't give a shit. Um, Triple H has a whole different demeanor, a whole different understanding. He's very empathetic. Just an overall good dude he comes off as.
mm.
And don't get me wrong, he wasn't always like that. you know, when I'm talking based on, um, you know, I I, I don't know the nigga. I never worked for him, but um, I'm really into wrestling as far as WWE goes. I pay attention to these articles and the interviews and everything, and I've heard good and bad about Triple H, but honestly, I feel like he's at a point where he's grown. And he's grown wiser, and he's understood that I'm getting a lot more out of people by not doing it the old way, but doing it this way. He's allowing people to
Mm.
get more breaks and have more freedom and everything ever before. Um, and that's why you can have this blending of reality and fiction where you have a guy like Karrion Cross, who I saw him as a joke. Uh, the average person doesn't even know who the hell we're talking about when it comes to Karrion Cross, or they may have heard the name in passing.
Yeah, I
But
mean, I know
let me
the
tell you,
name. I don't know if I'm too familiar with the wrestler himself, but yeah, I know I've heard the name around. Yeah.
yeah, and that's average, right?
Mm.
Uh, and that's not his fault. It's just a matter of what you're allowed to do and when you're allowed to do it. But lately, he's been in traction, um, and it's been working out for him. He even was allowed to get on camera post Wrestlemania and start speaking his feelings about shit. And uh, it made people wonder, how much of it is true, how much of it is not true. and that's great. It's getting a lot of attention, and people are feeling like he's ready for a push. He deserves a push at this point, and I think it might work out for him, which is great because a lot of wrestlers they just fade into obscurity, and then next thing you know, they're let go.
Hmm.
But it doesn't seem like that. Hopefully, it doesn't seem it doesn't go that way for Karrion Cross. I feel like now it's his time to actually grow in and take his place.
Okay. Well, hopefully that happens for him. I mean, I think he was at the John Cena match, wasn't he? I think
Mm-mm,
was that him? Uh,
mm-mm.
No, no, was it John? No, it wasn't John Cena match. Well, he was at one of the matches though
Yeah, it was
at Wrestle.
AJ Styles and Logan Paul.
Oh yeah. I saw that clip on the internet. Yeah. On the Instagram. Yeah. Logan Paul won that match, didn't he? But he was at the match and he tried to interfere. I think he was giving AJ Styles a knuckle dusters or something, um, and but he didn't want to use it, and then but yeah, AJ Styles ended up losing that match to the YouTuber. So
Logan
professional
Paul.
yeah, professional wrestler AJ Styles lost to a YouTuber. So,
Well,
nah, you know what? To be fair, I shouldn't say it like that. I shouldn't say that. I think to be fair, I haven't paid that much attention to it. But for what I can tell, for what I'm hearing, for what I'm seeing, I think Logan Paul is doing pretty well in WWE. So a big up to him. Well, for this at least, not for the other stuff.
well, Logan Paul has been phenomenal in the ring. Like this guy, I don't care what anyone says. Uh, People don't have to like him as a person for whatever. But for me, I respect him because when it came to boxing, he took it seriously.
Mm,
Um, and he's young, so yeah, of course he's going to be arrogant. But from from what I saw, and I'm not saying this is law because like I wasn't keeping my eyes on him the entire time, up until he got into wrestling. But every time when I saw him, he was very respectful to the sport.
mm,
And when he transitioned to wrestling, they, I didn't know what to expect. I was, ready. And to see him get in that ring and do what he did, and what he's done so far, even when he injured himself, he tore like multiple things in one fucking ankle one time. Still finished the match. He could have easily just hopped out of there and said, "Fuck that, I'm hurt." He didn't. He finished his match injured as fuck. Got his surgery, came back, and still did a great job. This guy in the ring, like the way he moves, you would think that yeah, he's been doing this for who knows how long. Like he's one of the rising stars. I really hope he gets to a point where he devotes more time, or he's able to devote more time to wrestling, because anytime Logan Paul gets into the ring, bro, it's gonna be a good match. It's gonna be a good
okay.
match. I haven't seen one match where he's been bad. Not to say that I've watched all his matches, but the matches I've seen him in, I've never been bored, never been disappointed. He knows how to fucking work those ropes, man. Logan Paul is definitely up there, and I feel like anybody who's in denial, yo, you need to wake up. You need to wake up, smell the coffee, and
Mm,
see like this guy. He can fucking wrestle. Do not like they cannot take that away from him, and that's what I love about him. He comes off as a genuine nice guy. Like he has some rough edges around him, of course, but that's his immaturity side. But he comes off as this genuine nice dude. Um, when I see clips of him doing interviews and even his podcast, he does it. And sometimes he gets out of character and everything because now it's not so strict. Wrestling now is like they're way loose. They'll let you do just about anything, especially compared to like 5 years ago.
mm. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yo, okay, it just is silent
Yeah,
all of a
yeah.
sudden. I thought something happened. All right, cool. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I haven't paid too close attention to wrestling, and I just kind of see clips on the Instagrams from time to time. But yeah, no, if he's doing well, then fair play to him. Fair play to him. End of the day, you want to see people, do well to get better, and people who made mistakes in the past, right? But you want to see them improve and get better and do good things. And so, and if that's what he's doing, then yeah, fair play to him. Can't say more than that. So hopefully that continues. But yeah, so that was the we talked a little about wrestling. Let's talk a little bit about something else. And now then, so for myself, I guess one of the main things I've been doing in recent times is rewatching Stranger Things. I've been rewatching Stranger Things from season one. I started rewatching it, I think, some months ago, maybe at least like 6-7 months ago. I started rewatching it and just recently started on season 7, and I'm almost at the end of season 7. I've got one episode to go. I've seen them all before, by the way, but I'm just rewatching them because this year is the last. This year is the last season for Stranger Things. Season 5 coming up is the last season, so I'm trying to refresh everything as much as possible, get ready for that. And I mean, Stranger Things has been one of my favorite shows for a while now. Pretty much from when it started, I just thought it was a really good show, from how it told its story to how it developed its characters. And season 4 in particular, in my opinion, has just been absolutely phenomenal. Like the episodes, we talked about TV shows before, and one of the complaints I've had with a lot of shows is that they can feel like they're not telling the story properly. They feel like they're missing bits or they're skipping ahead too much. And that's the whole thing about having only 8 to 10 episodes, where back in the day we had 20 something episodes per season. Now you've only got like 8 to 10 episodes, and sometimes it feels like you needed a few more episodes to get that story out full, and you just don't really get that. But what they've done with Stranger Things, especially with the last season, is that rather than having more episodes, they just made episodes longer. But what it means is that you just get, every episode feels like a full story that leads into the next story, that leads into the next story. And it's been phenomenal. So I've got one episode to go. The last episode is like 2.5 hours long. So I have to, make sure I've got some time to watch that again. But yeah, Stranger Things, in my opinion, has just been absolutely brilliant. From the start, it's just gotten better and better and better and better. And yeah, it's kind of a bittersweet that this is going to be the last season, but also, all good things must come to an end. And the worst thing a show can do is go on too long. I think they've built up the story extremely well over these past 4 seasons. Past 4 seasons. Really looking forward to how they wrap it all up. I'm hearing that the 5th season is going to be similar to the 4th in the sense that the episodes are going to be longer. But yeah, how it all wraps up, how it all comes together, how everything gets resolved. Have you watched Strange Things, by the way? Before I say too much about characters and names and things, have you watched any of it?
No, but you could go ahead and talk about it. Me personally, I don't see myself ever watching that show. I said it like 3-4 years ago. I felt like that I was gonna watch it, but the only thing that I've ever been interested, well, there's only been 2 things I've ever been interested in that show for, and that's one where there's a meme of this cop. I think he's like an abusive father or something, and he's dancing. There was a meme of that. I was interested in that meme, and then interested in the song that got exposed, re-exposed, and that's I think it was Kate. It's by Kate Bush, Running Up That Hill.
Run Up the Hill. Yeah, that's from season 4.
Yeah.
The copper meme. I mean, I don't think I've seen the meme, but I'm guessing it's Hopper, because he's the main cop. There's a few cops, but he's the main one in the show. I don't know if I'd say abusive father though, unless it's a joke or that I'm not getting or something. But his character is that he had a daughter that passed away, and then he's looking after Elle, so Elle becomes like an adopted daughter. Well, not even like, it becomes an adopted daughter for him, and so he's looking after Elle from, I think, is it season 3? I think he's looking after her, or maybe by the end of season 2. I might be getting the timing, but around about that sort of time anyway. And yeah, they definitely have their issues, because Elle has to remain hidden because of people looking for her and things like that. And of course, she wants to see her friends, and Elle's a young girl, by the way. She's not like a big grown ass woman. She's a young girl, so she wants to see her friends, and so they have their issues, and when she needs to be back by and things like that, and who could come over, but yeah, I think abusive would be a massive stretch. But then I'm not familiar with a meme. It might be just making a joke about something, or I mean, memes often use pictures and take the context away and make it look like something else. So it could be something like that going on. But yeah, he's an interesting character though, like Hopper. He like I say, he starts as the sheriff, and he's basically just like they're kind of investigating these things and gets involved with the kids, and it ends up being Elle's adoptive father, also becoming more Joyce's love interest as well. Love interest-ish. I mean, they're friends, friends, right? And in this current season, he at the end of the third season, like it looks like he got killed, but they make it clear that he did. Well, they do that thing where they don't show that he's alive, but they kind of let you know that he's alive. Just I guess it's just to make it like it's not like a suspense thing or whatever. And I'm kind of glad they did it that way, mainly because with the way season 4 became part of season 4 is like a rescue for him as well. They go to Russia to rescue him, and had they made it look like he was dead, and then all of a sudden he's alive, that might have been a bit So I'm glad they kind of didn't confirm it, but confirmed it earlier on, so it doesn't look stupid later, if that makes sense, But yeah, so part of season 4 is like there's a rescue mission for him, and he's in this Russian prison, and he gets help from a guard who knows somebody, but everybody being corrupt doesn't always go to plan, and then they all kind of have to fight these demogorgons. This is that these creatures from another dimension. But the big thing of season 4 is the revelation of Vecna, or Henry more specifically, being like the number one, because Elle was number 11 of this experiment that's what's going on. Elle in the first season accidentally opened up a portal. I think it was accidentally. I have to double check that again. It was a while since I rewatched it. My memory might be fake. Anyway, the point is she opens up a portal to another dimension. In fact, she does it twice. We find out she does it twice. The first time was she sent Henry to another dimension, but she didn't do it deliberately. She just didn't realize her own power. Does that, her memory goes away because like she just uses so much of her power. Later on, they're trying to experiment with her, and she opens up another dimension, and that's when season 1 starts. But yeah, by the time we get to season 4, and we found out about Henry, and Henry being like this guy who, from when he was a kid, he was just a bit odd and weird, and realized he has these kind of powers and can control things with his mind, and then he kills his own pet. He kills his mother, kills his sister, in the most horrific ways. He's about to kill his father, but ended up fainting because he didn't know his own strength at the time. So everybody thought his father was like the murderer of this family. They locked him away, and then we found out it was actually Henry, and Henry gets taken away, and they do all these experiments of him, and Dr. Brenner's doing his experiments on him, and he's like becomes number 1 of the experiment. And by the time we get introduced to Henry, though, he's older. So he's not the kid anymore, so we don't know that it was him right away. And then he's helping Elle, and he's telling her about how Brennan could be a liar and blah blah blah, but we found out later that's more manipulation. And then once Henry's free, because Dr. Brenner had like this chip inside him, so he couldn't use all his powers or any of his powers. So basically Elle takes that out, not realizing what she's doing. And now that Henry is back to himself, he kills everybody. Gets into when Elle realizes that she's set him free, and he basically tricked her. She's angry, and they get into their power battle, and ends up sending him into this different dimension without realizing, just because she was just using so much of her power, and faints and loses her memory. But all this time, Henry's now been in this other dimension, just getting stronger and stronger, and feeding off the fear of other people. And then in season 4, like you see these portals open up as he kills people. So he's finding people with like dark past or things in their past that they like their memories that they're ashamed of, or things that they've done that they don't tell anybody, like horrible parts of that, and he haunts them with it, to the point where it just going mad, and he kills them in these horrific ways. But it opens up a portal, and he's trying to open up 4 portals, and he's already got 3 portals already. And one of the Strange Things kids is a lady called a young lady called Max Mayfield, and she has her past because saw a whole thing with her brother and how her brother bullied her, and he was just an arsehole guy, but he kind of redeems himself towards the end, when he gets killed. But I said I was not going to get spoilers. Shit. I just realized I'm just gonna. Yeah, my bad. But I did say we're going to be talking freely as well. So yeah. Anyway, sorry, my bad. But yeah, so she has this dark past, and then so he's haunting her. That's where the running up the hill comes into it, because what they found is that music can help people come out of when he's got a hold of them. Music can help them come out of it, and so they find their favorite song, which is "Run Up the Hill" by Kate Bush, and they're playing that, and it helps her to focus on the positives and to run towards and get out of it. And that's why she's playing that song. You hear that song playing over and over again. It's like "Run Up the Hill." If I could make a deal with God, all of that. But yeah, it's just been brilliant. And like I said, it's 1 episode to go. I've seen it before, so I know what happens, but still, I want to watch it again. The other song that came out of it, or the other song that got reintroduced to society out of it, was Metallica's Master of Puppets, which Eddie plays when he's fighting off like these bats and things like that. And he's like, Cassie, this is for you. And he plays Master of Puppets. And mate, the first time I watched that, the way I just lost my shit. I ain't gonna lie, because I'm a Metallica fan first and foremost, right? So I was kind of like kid like Eddie back in school, who's a bit out of like the cool club and stuff like that. Maybe not as far out of the cool club as Eddie was, but I was kind of like that, a little bit. So like I see like a lot of how I was in Eddie, just being like this like different, someone who's just a little bit out of the cool society, and then of course being a Metallica fan and all that kind of stuff. And when he plays that song, I was like, yo, because it was like the first like note I heard, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, wait a minute, dun, dun. I was like, oh, bruh, the way I just lost it watching that. But yeah, now Stranger Things is brilliant. It really is, in my opinion, just been a masterclass in storytelling. Sorry for the spoilers. My bad. But yeah, I'm talking. You know what? It is, like I said. You talk about something, you just kind of get into it, and especially when it's like, bruh, Stranger Things, man, like. I think this is one of the. I don't think it was the very. I don't want to say it's the very first Netflix series, but I believe it was one of their early series that they did when they started doing original content. I think Stranger Things was amongst the very first things they did, if I remember correctly, when they started doing original content. Certainly in those first few years, I believe. I might have to double check, but I believe it was one of their earliest things. But they really just knocked it out the park from the beginning with this show. They really did. Just whole 80s vibe. Not even vibe. It's set in the 80s. Just the reference they make, the from gaming to music to culture, and the characters, how they developed, how they've grown. Yeah, it's been one super, and the way the seasons kind of lead on from each other, how they just really build on from one show to the from one series to the next, and how it progresses the story. And like I said, this last season with season 4 has just been phenomenal with how they've kind of gone back to let you know about certain things while introducing other things, continuing the story, but then let you know what it's all about. This big bad that is Vecna. All the and yeah, they make a lot of Dungeons and Dragons references. So Vecna is a Dungeons and Dragons character, the Demogorgons, all of that. They're all from Dungeons and Dragons. So I hope Dungeons and Dragons are getting their money. I hope Dungeons and Dragons are getting their money, because they make a lot of Dungeons and Dragons references in this. But yeah, the show's amazing. Like if you ever do decide to watch it or take time or whatever, it's, in my opinion, totally worth. Even though I just spoiled most of it for you right now, but it's still worth watching, in my opinion. So yeah, it's been a great show.
Yeah, I mean, I know it is definitely one of those shows that's transcended pretty much, from its platform and everything. It's impossible for nobody to haven't heard of Stranger Things, at least
Mm.
by name.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the things I've also liked as well is that, sometimes when shows get really popular, they have a tendency to, get bigger for the next season. And that's not always a good thing, in the sense that they just, maybe they spend the money in the wrong places. They have, I don't know, maybe a bunch of like super famous actors that all of a sudden show up, or a bunch of special effects that just don't need to be there. You know what I mean? Things like that. I feel like the
Yeah,
creators of this show, as the show's gotten bigger, they've spent the money in the right places. I feel like they've spent their money accordingly, in terms of not just like making the show more flashy, but making the show better in terms of storytelling, in terms of, the fact that episodes are getting longer so they can tell fuller stories. Like, I thought they've spent their money correctly with this show. Like, a lot of shows out there can take some notes from what they've done with Stranger Things. Spend your money. It's good that shows get better. It's good that they put more money into these things, but spend it correctly. You know what I mean? Spend it correctly, because a good show can turn bad real fast when they don't spend the money right. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot of notes people can take from the show, in my opinion.
yeah.
So how about yourself? What else you been watching? What you been playing? What you been doing?
I've been watching The Last of Us season 2, and
Okay, yeah, yeah.
so far, let's see, it's been a little disappointing, and I don't know. I'm trying to give it a shot and just give them time, but I didn't have to do that with the last season. I
Hmm.
don't know why it's a struggle
It's
with
two
this
episodes so
season.
far, though, right?
Yeah, but I didn't feel that way with episode 1 and 2 of the previous season. You know, and they have more work to deal with because they have to establish their characters and everything. Even if for somebody like me, I played the games. Um, this is the show's version, so they have
Hmm.
to introduce us to those characters. Um, so with season 2, um, well, have you played the games?
I've played the games. I've watched season one. In fact, we talked about season one on another podcast a while ago. Um, but I've not watched season two yet. I know there's 2 episodes been released, but I've not watched them yet. I figured I'd wait till all of them are out, or
But
at
you
least
have
most
played
of
the
them are
game.
out, before I start watching it. But yeah, I've played the game, so I know the story of what it's based on, and
Okay.
I guess they're gonna go mostly along the same lines. But I believe the story told in the game, from my understanding, is basically going to be seasons 2 and 3 for the show. At least that's how I've understood it. They may do something different, but I think the part 2, the game, is basically seasons 2, seasons 3 of the TV show. At least from what I know, at least from what I understand.
Yeah. So, um, the actor that they got to play, well, first I'm gonna start with Ellie.
Hmm.
Um, in season 1, I thought to myself, why? Why? And as she played her role and everything, I was like, oh, this is good. She's fit into the role. I'm forgetting, I'm starting to accept this actor as Ellie, right? And then season 2 starts. Season 2, she's doing the same shit. But mind you, the problem now is we're in season 2 and Ellie is supposed to be older.
Hmm.
So even in the games, Ellie has some traits of her previous self, her younger self, I mean, but she's more mature. She thinks a little bit more. She is a little more cautious. Um and in other ways she has some cons as well. She didn't grow up to be somebody perfect. Um she is a little more quick to anger, this and that. You get to see her flaws and everything, but you do see a change nonetheless. And I don't see much of a change. um, Granted, you could go ahead and sit there and say, "Oh, well, it's only been 2 episodes." It doesn't matter. It's already been years. This character should be different, not completely different, but to the point where, like the game did, the game showed
Okay.
a difference. The moment you get into this whole tutorial scene with Ellie, you could hear this difference of this character, the way she's
So
talking, the way she's moving. She's a little more cautious about things. And meanwhile, they have a scene where Ellie's just fucking around screaming, I'm immune, like it's a big joke. it's little things like that that just starts taking me out the show. But my
So
biggest complaint is
hold on
not
a sec
that.
though, real quick before you go ahead though, because the game between part one and part two of the game was like a 7 year gap, and that's of course a lot to do with how long it takes to make these things. But with the TV show, did they keep the 7 year gap, or did they just say it's a 1 year gap or 2 year gap or something like that? Like, what did they?
Well, no, in the game is not like in the game story. It hasn't been 7 years. Um, I don't believe it was 7 years. I think it was just like a few
Between
years.
part one and part
But
two, it's about a 7 year gap.
in story,
Yeah, there's about a 7 year gap between part one and part two, 6 or 7 years. But it's yeah,
huh?
it's about
I
six or
don't.
7 year gap between part one and part two in the story. Um,
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember it being that long, but yeah. As far as the show goes, it looks like it's just been um about 3 to 4 years,
okay.
maybe more. But basically the difference between a kid and a teenager, right?
Yeah.
They already matter of fact, to simplify it even more, she's considered she's it's been stated that she's like 19 now. So
Okay, so
she's
they
19
say in the
years old.
okay. So they do say in the show that she's 19 now. Okay,
Yeah.
so because she was supposed to be like 12 or 13 in the first season. So what's that? What's that? 19, 7 years then? Yeah, 7 years.
Yeah.
Um, so they come with a 7 year gap, even though she's clearly not 7 years older. And basically the same character is what I'm saying. It was what you're saying. Is that sounds to me anyway? Like, is that
Yeah,
right?
as far as her appearance, she can't do much about her appearance. That's just based on the makeup and shit. If they do anything, I'm not gonna complain about the appearance. I'm complaining about the character itself. Like
Okay.
she's doing the same dumb shit that she was doing in the first fucking season. Her and Dina. Dina is a side character that they added. Um and she's even Dina. Um in the game, she's not as like I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to make her more charismatic, but you don't I don't know. I feel like they're doing a little too much. They're having Ellie and Dina do these fucking jokes, and they're trying to show you, oh, look how much chemistry they have. But it's like watching people just fucking gaff. It was just weird. I didn't like it, but I don't have a problem with Dina. What I do have a problem with is one of the new arrivals, and that's Abby. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, they
First
went with
off,
a non-muscular character for this one. I know that got some responses on the internet
I
before the show
was
even released.
I am on like I, I'm on the side of what the fuck were you thinking when you casted her? Because first off, when I saw her, I was immediately disappointed. I was like, maybe she's gonna buff up for the show. Maybe when the show comes on, you're gonna see that she's buffed up, or maybe once she takes off her shirt, you're gonna see that she's actually, you know, fucking toned out and everything. But no, it's none of that. Now, why is that important? The reason why that's important is because of the big scene that happens, right? And how can I take this character as a threat when all she does is the same mean mugging fucking face that any character that physically doesn't have that intimidation on them, right? They're physically non-threatening. They always rely on the facial expressions and everything and whatever fucking weapon they have. I don't fear this character. Abby in the game is a character that if I saw that motherfucker in real life, sorry about that. If I saw that motherfucker in real life, I would be scared. I would be intimidated. I would hesitate before I initiate a fight. I would pull back and think about should I use my weapon on this motherfucker? Abby is swole. Abby's big, strong, and you could believe that she does the shit that she does. This girl right here, the actress that they got, I don't believe it. I don't believe anything from them. And I don't know if that's bad acting or what. I'm not calling her a bad actor. I just don't believe her. I don't believe her. I don't. I feel like you could grab a random ass YouTuber and they can make it more believable than this actor right here. I don't believe it. And the reason why it's frustrating is because Abby was one of those characters that in the game, everybody hated her. Not even in I'm talking about the game's character, everybody hated her. Everybody hates on Abby. It was disgusting how much people hated that character. It was
Mm.
more than just, the big reason or whatever. They had so many things to say about this character, down to the fact that her body shape is more masculine than feminine. But guess what? It adds to her threat. It made her intimidating. It made her this strong contrast to fucking Ellie. It was perfect in that regards that these two were going to face each other. And I'm not saying that the game was great. The game story needed serious work. And this was the opportunity to do it the right way, the way that it was supposed to be. But you borrowed so much from the game, and the changes that you made just made it worse, in my opinion. I didn't like this shit. And I know I'm basing on just 2 episodes, but hey, we ain't got that many motherfucking episodes of this season. I think it's 8 to 10 episodes this season. There's no time to be fucking around here. What are you doing? I don't know what this came off more as The Walking Dead than The Last of Us. And I know they're similar, but I'm not no. I think I might rage quit the show. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm getting more angry.
I mean, I
I'm
did
getting
say
more upset.
I think it was Craig Mazin or one of the film, also one of the TV show producers or somebody from the show anyway. They said something about the casting of, was it Caitlin Denver? Is that her name? The girl who plays Abby. And they said something about they casted her or they casted somebody of that size specifically because they wanted to have like the fights between Abby and Elle look more believable. Whereas in the game, Elle is relatively skinny lady, right? In part two, and then Abby, as we know, is a much muscular, larger lady, and they get into these fights that, I mean, for the game, you could kind of forgive it. It's a game, like you generally don't pay too much attention to that. But I think in a TV show, if you got a skinny girl versus a much muscular bigger girl and they're supposed to be equal in fighting, it might look a bit ridiculous. So that was the reason I believe they went with a smaller person for Abby. That being said, I mean, for me, I know one of my sort of things that I thought of when I saw that they casted somebody who wasn't muscular is that what does that mean for the story? Because there was a story reason as to why Abby was muscular. It wasn't just character design for the sake of character design. There was a reason behind it, in that after her, father was killed in the game in part one, she became so sort of focused on revenge and so driven by this anger and everything else that she just wanted to, do whatever she needed to do. And for her, that meant hitting the gym, working out, because if she meets this guy, she needs to take him down. And that was a lot of the driving factor behind why she is so muscular. It just became like this obsession of, wanting to, get bigger. And so she could seek revenge, even though granted, you don't need to be that strong to swing a golf club. You don't need to be a big muscle swing a golf club, but that was kind of the reason behind it, right? So once you take that out, it's like, okay, so what does that mean for the story? Now, of course, I'm not saying they have to do the exact same stories they do in the games. I get it. They're allowed to change bits. That's fine. But that was such an integral part of the story. It's like, if you're changing that, how's that affect everything else? And I mean, hopefully in the end, you still want a good show. You still want it to make sense in the world that they're creating, even though it doesn't have to be exactly what they did. I'm not saying that at all. But it's like, okay, if we're changing this, that changes significant parts of how the story then develops. And I get it. It makes sense to have somebody who's not too big if you're gonna face off with Ellie being played by Bella Ramsey, who is in real life, I believe, quite a small person. So you don't want it. You want it to look more, I guess, even, and not have someone who's too big, who's like, clearly going to manhandle her, and then, but for some unknown reason, Ellie gets the upper hand, and it's, what I mean. It's not that a small person can't beat a big person. We've seen that as well, but again, you need to make it look believable, and I think for their, at least from what I'm reading, what I read from that quote, it seems to be like they're trying to make it look believable in a TV show versus what works in the game doesn't always work when you translate it to the screen. So I mean, I guess it kind of waits to be seen how they address certain things in terms of they don't have to say, oh, she's not big because of this. Of course not. But in terms of how that changes the her focus, her drive, or what was she? Did she become focused on anything, or if anything, what happens there, and then in terms of the fighter, making that look better or believable or more, say, even, so you can have maybe a better fight scenes between the two, and then seeing how that develops, I guess, in the later episodes.
I think whoever answered that and said that was the reason, they're full of shit. They're full of complete shit, and they deserve a slap to the face because the first scene of the second season has Ellie going against a grown ass man that's bigger than Joel. All right. She wrestles this motherfucker to the ground. And granted, they said, oh, well, Joel told him to hold back. Nah. Regardless, she wrestles his ass down. She puts him in a fucking submission hold and he has to submit. It wasn't like, oh, yeah, all it was that he didn't hit her as hard. That's what he held back on. So that should have been foreshadowing for Abby right there.
Okay, fair
and
enough. Okay.
and even in the game, they made it believable. Abby kicked Ellie's ass. Abby fucked Ellie up. And the only way to fucking like they had you play as Abby and you beat the shit out of Ellie, and Ellie had to keep running off and doing all these sneak attacks, and even at the end, she did not win. What happened? She got her ass kicked. She got choked out. No, her girlfriend got choked out. You get what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's believable. The end is different, but remember, the end is something different. And for the sake of anybody that didn't play the game, I'll spare that ending. There's no need to talk about that. But yeah, it was believable when Abby and Ellie fought. Abby fucked her up as she should. And sorry, I'm getting excited just thinking about it because that's raw power. And that's something that she earned. That's something that she worked for. And they explained it and they made it make sense. And for anybody that wants to get extra technical and be like, oh, how did she build muscle? Oh, shut the fuck up. You don't know how to build muscle. Shut up. Anyway, because I heard people talking about how would she build muscle in Apocalypse? Shut up. Shut
oh no,
up.
you can do it. Like, I mean, because you remember, like, I mean, well, I don't know. Well, I haven't seen the show, so we'll see if they explain it differently. But in the game, at least, she was with the Wolves. Was it the Washington Wolves? I can't remember what they're called, but something like that. Anyway,
WLF.
yeah, and they were pretty well stocked. They were
There
they
you
were
go.
thriving pretty well.
There
And
you go. So
they had their
that
gym.
snaps out.
They
Yep,
had
that snaps
food.
out that whole bullshit. Yeah, they had a
So
whole
yeah,
facility.
they were doing pretty well. So, like,
Exactly.
I mean, you
So
could argue, like, for example, in a world where ultimately resources are still relatively scarce on on the grand scheme of things, how necessary it is to have people who are that big. Um, but then it's not like everybody's that big, so you probably just, like, maybe let one or two people get that big, and then everybody else has to be skinny. You know what I mean? But yeah, it can be done. It can be done because they were pretty well stocked. So yeah, that I didn't see that as an issue at all. That was like, all right, cool. It is what it is. They found a
yeah.
gym. You know what I mean? They found a place with a well stocked gym, and they got foods. They had plenty of food, animals, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
hmm So
protein, all
yeah,
of that.
for anybody that was talking about that shit, that snuffs that out. Um, I this character, I mean, this actor that they got to play Abby, I don't like it. I don't like
Mm,
it. There's no way that you could twist it to get me to like it for the way that it was executed. And it's not just because of her appearance. It's about everything. The way she talks, or rather the way she delivers her lines, I should say. The faces that she makes. Nothing comes off that makes me feel like, yeah, I believe you. And it comes off with that. It like when there's this. So when the big scene happens between her and Joel and everything, she kept doing this smirk, right?
mm-hmm.
And maybe I need to go back and rewatch that scene with Abby, like in the game, but I don't remember Abby smirking and smirk. If anything, she probably had one smirk. But this girl right here, she just kept smirking, and then she's like, "Yeah, and we're gonna kill this person if they act up." And you're coming off as this bad guy. Abby is not a bad guy. Abby is not a bad guy, believe it or not. She's a character that's the same as Ellie on the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of the game, is that you're looking in a reflection of yourself. Okay, you're just on the other side of it. So now you don't like when it happens to you. It's like when Negan was introduced in The Walking Dead. Now that's happening to you, all of a sudden it's a problem. You know,
Yeah.
and that's what it was about. At least that was one of the big elements of that moment. That's what it was about, the subtext of it. And they take that away when they do moments like that because you're trying to turn her into a villain. She is not a fucking villain. She is avenging the brutal murder of her father. That's it. She was a survivor. Her father was a doctor trying to find a cure for everybody, and he got brutally murdered for it. Of course she's mad. And that's what the fucking show writer had a chance to convey. Show that side, make it even more understanding and more empathetic, and not so much as like, oh, don't you feel sorry for her? Just explaining things from her side in a better way than the game did. And they failed on that. I'm so disappointed and so bored of this show from just 2 episodes. And mind you, it's like an hour each. So that's 2 hours. That's over a full fucking the average length of a fucking film. Okay, so I feel like when it comes down to that, I have the right to bitch. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this already, and I'm quite sure there's only like 6 to 8 more episodes left. I think I might be done by the next episode.
Yeah, that bad, huh? Oof.
That's
Oof.
just for me
Um,
personally because they're wasting my fucking time.
no,
They're
I mean,
wasting my time.
I get that. I get that. I get that. I mean, for me, I think, yeah, I still want to wait till either all the episodes or at least most of the episodes are out, because I don't really like doing a weekly thing, to be honest with you. It's a bit like because the thing is with the weekly thing for me, like my schedule changes so much. It's difficult to be like, oh, I'm just gonna watch this week and then watch it the same next week, because it just changes, and I'm like, I'm doing either something's happened or da da da. So I'd rather be like, you know what, let me just watch it in as short a time frame as possible, you know, as I can. And so I'd rather wait till at least most of the episodes are out and then go from there. I don't know if I want to re-watch the first season again though. Like I've got it on my. I actually ended up buying the first season because at the time it was I didn't have what's it call it, the Sky thingy that we get over here to watch it on. And
Mhm.
so I ended up buying it on Amazon as a just buying the season for like however much it was at the time, like I think it was like 20 quid or something. Anyway, so I still got that there because I bought it, but I've only watched it that once for when we talked about it, I guess a couple of years back. And I don't know. I don't know. I mean, have you watched it again since the first season, or do you think it's worth watching again, or just going straight into the second season by the time I'm ready to do so?
Honestly, you could just go straight into the second season because they don't really. I mean, as far as why why we're at where we're at, they already explained that in the first episode. Like in the first 5-10 minutes, they pretty much already convey like why they're not Ellie and Joel are not talking. They kind of refresh your memory just off rip.
Hmm.
If
Okay,
you
that's
want
fair
to
enough.
enjoy the last, well, again, you might like the episodes. You might like the performance by the actor that plays Abby. Me, I just personally dislike it so much that I'm actually contemplating quitting the show. And not just because of Abby, but because of everything. There's more shit that I didn't even talk about that they're adding new, that they added new, and I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like that. I do not like that. And I wish I could talk about it right now, but it would be spoilers. I do not like it. I don't know, man. Like the more I think about it, I'm just like, fuck, I can't. Uh, man, I don't know what happened. I'm
Hmm.
just looking at the show. I'm like, these niggas turning this shit into The Walking Dead. What the fuck is going on?
Well, I mean, The Walking Dead was popular. You know how it goes. Something gets popular, copy it.
The Walking Dead was popular 5 years ago.
Fair.
That was it. So I don't know what the fuck. Yeah, and they don't even plan on staying the past 3 seasons. They said they're only going to tell the story that's within the game, and that's it. Honestly, with how long the game is, yeah, I could see it being 3 seasons, 3 to 4 seasons if they really wanted to be really ambitious about it. But at this rate, I will not be a part of that fucking ride because, yeah, what they've been doing for these past 2 episodes. Hell nah. That's 2 hours, bro, that you just took away from me. And you only promising me 6 more based off of this. Like, nah.
So I can 1, maybe 2 more. So if you have
Yeah,
to
I'll
give
give
it a
it
fair
1 or 2
shot.
more chances. That's it.
So if the next 2 episodes suck,
Oh,
then
I'm quitting.
we're done. We're done.
Yeah.
So if
Because I already got the
if
games.
it picks up in the next 2 episodes, you might continue then.
Yeah, I'll stay and watch to the finish.
Okay, so it is redeemable at least.
It has a chance. Yeah, nothing has been done to where I'm like, yeah, I'm done with this shit. Not yet.
All right, but it could be coming. It could be coming.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. To be fair, if I never, because I have a good habit of not watching trailers and trying to stay away from shit so I can watch whatever I want to watch, with brand new eyes and everything.
Yeah, same.
I would prefer to not have been spoiled about who's playing Abby, but if I wasn't already told, I probably would have rage quit. Because
Yeah.
man, Abby is a beast, and I love like how Abby was. Abby was like when she came in, she's punching these motherfuckers. You don't even have to use a weapon. She's punching these motherfuckers out. That's Abby. So when she does shit and she survives and she's fighting there with Joel and getting through the snow and everything, is believable. Why? Because she could fucking knock these motherfuckers out. And when she hits them, it's believable. It's not one of those things where if you saw Abby doing it with Abby's skinny ass, you'll be like, oh, get the fuck out of here.
No, fair. I mean, it's for me, I try to look at things less about, preferences and whether I like it or don't like it, and more like, okay, well, what are they trying to say? What is their story here? What is the message here? What feelings are they trying to convey? Because ultimately, these are creative art forms, right? And although it's based on something, it is fundamentally doing its own thing as well. So, like, I guess for me, it's like I see the concern, especially knowing what Abby's story was from the games and how her physical form wasn't just just for looks. It was part of how the story was told. So I see the concern, but also I guess my interest is like, okay, so if she's going to be this size, what is the story now? How does that change the aesthetic? How does it change? Does it change, or does the meaning of it change? Does the feelings of it change? Do we see things differently now? And I guess that's where I'm interested in to see, where you take this story, you change a little something, and then that means something else now, and how they pull that off, or if they even could pull that off. I guess well, that waits to be seen. But that's kind of where my interest is like, okay, all right, so you've changed this one thing. All right, cool. What are we gonna do with this now? What does this mean? What's the message? What's the story? What's the feelings? What are we saying with this? Is it just a change for the sake of changing? Because Abby's physique wasn't just for the sake of having that physique. So is this a change for the sake of changing, or is there now a story here? Is there now a different meaning here? Is there now different feelings here? Is there now a different way you can convey this story that still has an impact? That's what I'm interested in. So, but yeah, I mean, from what you're saying, I'm not. Well, it doesn't sound like it, but I guess I have to watch it and see for myself. But yeah,
Yeah.
Guess I might need a lot of coffee. All right, so that was The Last of Us. Let's see what else have I been doing. Let me switch gears just a little bit, because I have managed to play a video game, or parts of a video game. I've not completed it yet, but I've been playing the Callisto Protocol in recent weeks. It's a game that came out. Let's see. Does it say when it came out? I think it came out a few years ago. Here we go, 2022. It came out. So yeah, about just about 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago. I remember hearing about it when it came out. I wasn't paying much attention to it because I generally don't play very many new games just because they're so expensive. So it's kind of the game that I heard about, and I wasn't like thinking, oh, I must buy that. What ended up happening though is that Epic Games Store, they give away free games every week, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you don't know, now you know. The Epic Games Store gives away free game every week, and most of the games are indie games and things like that, which is fine. I'm not knocking it, but it's a lot of stuff that maybe you've probably never heard of. Mostly, you probably don't even care about. It's a lot of stuff like that. I'm sure there's lots of great games in there, but that's mostly what it is. Indie games that you might have heard of, but you probably haven't. But they're still probably good anyway. It's free. No one's moaning about a free game. But every now and then they'll have something that's in that AAA category. And I saw it by chance. Just happened to be on an Epic Games Store. I saw they were giving away the Callisto Protocol for free. So I thought, I'll get it. Right. Downloaded it. And it was on my computer, and I wasn't even planning on playing it, to be honest. I just thought I'll download it now because once you add it to your library, it's yours. You don't have to but once it's off the free whatever, you pay for it after that. So I figured I'll just get it now while it's free and add it in my library. I had it downloaded and I just left it on my computer, just sitting there. And then I can't remember what I was doing, but I think I just clicked on it accidentally and it ended up opening up the game. And my initial thought was just, all right, let me just play 5 minutes and I'll put it away. Ended up playing for about an hour or two. Playing for a little bit longer than 5 minutes. It's a pretty cool game. I'm playing it on just a normal difficulty. I think I'm about 9-10 hours into it now. Somewhere around there. I wouldn't say I know the full story. I'm still kind of developing. But so far, it's kind of basically you play as this space pilot that was, I guess, delivering some goods somewhere, and your ship gets hijacked by this hijacker, and then it crashes into the Callisto planet thing, solar system, space system thing. You get captured. But they're really after the person that hijacked you, which is a girl. In fact, the girl in The Boys, the mute girl in The Boys, Karen Fukunaga? Yeah, it's her. She's playing the character.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember her character's name in The Boys, but yeah, Karen Fukunaga, I think her real name is. But yeah, she's the character that hijacks you, and they catch her and they're like, oh yeah, we got it. And then for some reason they arrest you as well. And it's like, hey, I'm just a delivery guy. What are we doing? Right? And then you end up blacking out. You wake up and you're in prison. But by the time they're injecting you with stuff, you kind of in and out of consciousness. Then by the time you fully wake up, the prison's on fire. Everything's broke. Something's gone wrong somewhere. Clearly, people are dead. These monsters are around, and you're trying to get out of the prison. And somebody helps you escape, tells you where to go. One of the prisoners helps you, and you kind of go around. It's kind of like I would say a survival horror, except it's maybe more of an action horror because the survival. With survival horrors, they're very very limited resources and things like that. The resources here are limited, but there may be, at least so far, about 9-10 hours into the game on a normal difficulty, they don't seem super limited. Mostly you're limited in what you can carry. Even when you get the suit where you can carry more stuff, it's still, you can't carry as much as you probably need to or want to. So you do have to do quite a bit of inventory management and, selling stuff and things like that. But as far as bullets and things like that go, health and things like that, they're limited, but they're not, at least in my experience so far, super limited. So it's got those survival horror elements, but not to the full extent. So I'll say it's maybe more action horror. But but that being said, whatever you want to call it, it's a pretty cool game. I'm liking the gameplay. I'm liking the variety in enemy types. It can feel a bit samey at times, and especially when it comes to how you deal with enemies, can feel a bit samey at times. But there is still quite a bit of variety, so it doesn't feel too samey. And as you kind of progress, you get different enemies, or they evolve, and things like that. You get different weapons, and although I'm sticking mostly with the bats, you get this bats in the beginning, and then you have a gun, a handgun, which they call a hand cannon, which is basically a pistol. You get some other weapons like a shotgun and stuff like that, but I'm mostly sticking between the bats and the pistol for the moment, and save the other ones for maybe the bigger enemies, because what it's like with these types of games. There's always gonna be some massive enemy at some point, and you don't be using up all your good weapons on the little guys. So I'm kind of saving it for that. Although that being said, I haven't come across any massive enemies just yet, so I don't know, 10 hours into the game. We'll see. But anyway, but yeah, no, I'm definitely enjoying it so far. Definitely a pretty cool game so far. Glad I got it for free. Not sure. I mean, boy, games are expensive now. They've been expensive for a long time. But if you used to pay for it, it'd be like £50. But I'm glad I got it for free. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not worth the 50 quid. I'm sure it is, even though I'm only about 10 hours into it. But I'm just glad I got it for free. I'm glad I did not pay 50 quid for it, because that's a lot of money. And I'd rather not spend £50 on a game, and now I didn't have to. So awesome. But have you played Callisto? Have you heard of it? Do you know anything about it?
I haven't played it, but I did get it for free too. I got it for free, not on PC, but PlayStation gave it out for free. I don't know when, but it was recently.
Okay, so I guess people just giving it out for free then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe, because it's not an old game. It only came out in 2022. So if PlayStation giving it away for free and Epic are giving it away for free, because it was maybe, I will say about a month, no, maybe more than that, maybe about a month and a half ago, up to 2 months ago, I think I got it for free, and then I only just started playing it in the last few weeks. But I'm thinking, if two places are giving it away for free and it's a relatively new game, maybe it didn't sell well, which is a shame, because it's a decent game, like I say, so far I'm digging it, We'll see if I mean, I have to get to the end of it before I decide whether it's an amazing game or not. Of course, that always to be seen, but so far it's pretty good. But yeah, I'm guessing it didn't sell well if it's been given away for free only a few years after its release. So interesting.
I mean, I haven't heard anything bad about it. I've only heard people be excited about it and like it. So if it didn't sell well, I wouldn't see why. Maybe it's because maybe it's like a more independent game, not like a big studio one.
Yeah, that could be. Let me just check something real quick. I'm gonna go on the internet to see how many copies did Callisto, spell it right, Callisto Protocol sell? Sold 2 million copies. Well, it says north of 2 million copies, which is solid for most games. So yeah, they're pretty good. Oh, maybe they're just being generous then. Okay. Or maybe they're just being generous. Maybe just figure out we sold 2 million copies. We could give it a fee for free. Why not? All right, cool. Well, but yeah, Callisto Protocol, that's a recommended game. If you got it free, whether on Epic or PlayStation or any other place that might have been giving it away for free, then hopefully that was the case. But if not, it's 50 quid in the UK. I'm guessing about $60 or so in America, I'd assume. But whether it's worth that much, I don't know yet. It's pretty good. 9 hours into it, 10 hours into it. So yeah.
Okay.
Have you been playing the games yourself recently, or shows, movies, or anything else you've been up to?
Uh, as far as shows, I just finished. Well, I finished the first season of Delicious in Dungeon, as you already know.
Okay, yeah.
Um, I not too long ago I finished Invincible season 3 or
Oh yeah,
whatever the
yeah, yeah.
latest season is. I finished
3,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Really liked it. Really liked it. Um, of course, when we talk about it, we'll go into more details. But I really liked it.
Mm,
Um, there's always things to criticize, but overall good. I remember being like, I remember one time I was watching one of the episodes of season 3 or the latest season, whatever season it is. Um, and it was so good that I actually had to extend my lunch break. I know that doesn't sound like much, but and my job is always like you could easily get written up on some bullshit. So I said, fuck it. I cannot stop this episode right here. I had to find some way to extend my break. So I
mm.
extended my break just to finish the episode because yeah, that latest season of Invincible, it was good. It, it was really good. Oh man. Um what else? Uh as far as games go, I've been slacking on that because I still haven't finished this one game. And it's because I'm actually gonna have to go back and retrace my steps and like level up even more. And that's Metaphor, which is made by Atlas, the same people that make the Persona games. It's
Mhm.
a JRPG, Japanese role playing game, and that shit. First off, I could find out how many hours I have in the game so far, and it will be 160 hours. So yeah, just knowing that I have to go ahead and pretty much erase about like maybe 10 hours of that in comparison, it doesn't sound like much, but yeah, I just knowing that I have to go back and fucking do about 10 more hours of that shit at least is kind of blowing my mind. So that's why I haven't finished it yet. But it's a great game. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Um, we could touch on Delicious and Dungeon a little bit without going too deep into it if you like.
Um, yeah, maybe just a little bit because yeah, we were supposed to talk about that today. Hopefully, we're talking about it in much more detail in the
When
next
Cell gets well.
episode. Once Cell's feeling better, get well, Cell. Hashtag get well, Cell. But yeah, I watched it. I would say I enjoyed it. Although it was a little confusing, not gonna lie. Um, partly because I'm watching it in Japanese with the subtitles, and you're not always reading as fast to keep up with what's going on, and you're kind of missing bits that way. And the story itself, it was a little confusing. I think I understand it better now that because I watched it properly the first time round. I've kind of been having it on in the background on a second view, so just kind of put it on with the English dub instead, and just kind of have it and kind of catch little bits. Plus, I've watched some other videos of stuff that explain things like, oh, okay, I think I understand what's going on now and why they did it this and blah 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 blah. But yeah, set on a first viewing, yeah, I was a little confused. But overall, I enjoyed it. It was a bit weird at times, and definitely starts off in a interesting way. It continues in a kind of way, but yeah, overall I enjoyed it. And but yeah, let me not say too much for now on Delicious in Dungeon.
Mhm.
Actually, let me one more thing. It's definitely a lot more multi-layered than it might give the impression that it is. But yeah, that I'll say that's it. That's it.
Well, me, I would never be watching this again. Um I I I did not like this. I was confused because I didn't know what to expect from it when I first started watching it. I thought it was going to be like this anime called Goblin Slayer, which it's because of the art style and the music and everything. You think, oh, it's gonna be lighthearted, but then it gets brutal quick, and it's like, oh shit, you see blood, guts, and it's crazy. So I thought I was in the mood, going to see something like that, but no. Every time when you think something crazy is gonna happen, it's just undercut by something lighthearted. Is taken away and say, oh, forget about that. That didn't happen. Don't worry about it. That person's still alive. Every episode is, hey, let's cook. Let's cook. Let's cook. And I'm like, okay. But and don't get me wrong, the art style for the food is great, but that's what you expect nowadays from anime. Um, but the thing is that I don't get hungry while watching it because these motherfuckers are cooking monsters, things that don't exist. And then when something does exist, I'm not eating that shit. Like, hey, cook a horse? Hell no.
You know what? Actually, this is a little bit, I guess, kind of related to the show, but a little bit not. Just when it comes to food, and something that I've kind of feel like I've had because when we talk about foods that we like and foods that we don't like, this is bad, this is disgusting, this is delicious, blah blah blah, things like that. Here's the thing about this. This is kind of what I feel like I've come to realize in recent times is that there's no such thing as disgusting foods, like in terms of taste and flavors. They're not disgusting. It's just stuff that we're not used to, right? And I feel like what happens a lot of times is that we come across foods that either they look weird to us, or they smell weird to us, or even when we put them, if we taste it, maybe it has a taste that we're not really used to. So we're like, oh, it's disgusting. And I think the reality is that it's not that it's disgusting. It's just we're not used to it. These are foods that people eat, and various parts of the world people eat various different things, but we look at it, and because we're not used to it, because it's different from what we come across on a regular basis, or so what we grew up with, we say it's disgusting. And the reality is it's not disgusting, it's just different. It's just different. We're not used to it. But I think once you kind of allow yourself to get past the initial kind of rejection of something that we're not used to, something that we're not familiar with, once you allow yourself to get past that, you can enjoy a lot of different types of foods. Like, man, Snell.
Listen, I hear what you're saying, but fuck that. I ain't eating no fucking horse. Shit. Anyway,
parts of the world they do that, right?
Fuck
parts
that.
of the world they
Listen,
do that.
For example, I told myself for the longest, goat meat. I said eating goat is disgusting. I said that for the longest, right? And I finally had some goat meat. I finally gave it a shot. Ate it. Fucking hated it.
You don't like goat? Goat's delicious, bro.
At all. Yeah, okay. I heard that's why I heard all my life, and that's why I tried it. And guess what? I tried it, hated it. But my point is about the show. I can't get into it because the food is it doesn't exist. What the fuck they said slime intestines. I didn't know slimes had intestines. So so yeah, they keep doing shit like that. And another disadvantage of it is that the first season is 20 some episodes. So 27 episodes of the same fucking thing. Hey, let's go kill these monsters. Let's eat. Let's kill these monsters. Let's eat. And don't get me wrong, they got other stuff too, but that's for when we actually talk about it. Did I hate this show? No. Nothing at all made me. I'm telling you now, if I hated it, I would not finish it. I don't care. I wouldn't finish it. If I hate something like that, I stop. I didn't hate this. It just wasn't for me. I could see why people would like it. It's lighthearted. It's comedic.
Yeah.
I chuckled a couple of times, but there's only been one episode that I was actually interested in. I stopped everything that I was doing and I was watching. And it was just to tell the background story of one of these characters. And that wasn't until like the last few episodes of the season.
Yeah. Well, I know that one, but yeah, we could talk detail later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to wait that long to get invested like that pissed me off personally. So the fact that they even showed me something I was interested in, but they waited so long, that pissed me off and left a bad taste in my mouth. No pun intended. This show, I'll be dead before I catch myself watching another. First off, I'm not even into anime anymore. I'm not even into anime anymore, really,
No,
because of
season
the
two's
trope.
been confirmed, by the way.
Yeah, well, I won't be there. And I think, yeah, at one point, I googled when does this show get good, and again, I'm not saying everything that I'm saying about the show is just a personal preference. It's something
Hmm.
that, like, that's why I'm saying that I don't even like anime anymore, really, because that's another element of it as to why I was turned off by the show. Um, it really harks on those traits and those tropes that I don't like of anime, where pretty much what I was describing with the characters, the comedic beats and lightheartedness, and every time when something crazy happened, they undo it because it's too much. At one point, a guy loses his leg, he gets it attached back, and the only consequence of him getting the leg attached back is that he has an ugly ass scar and it itches. It's not painful; it just itches. And instead of him having that element where it's like, all right, well, he got the leg back, but now he has to deal with that. No, they undo that too. So no scar. Basically, you kept your leg. This didn't happen. This didn't occur. And I felt like the show kept doing that shit. Somebody got shot in the fucking head, guts, not guts, brains all on the fucking pavement, and then they just nah, never mind, they're not dead.
Hmm.
So yeah, man, hell
No,
no.
yeah, no, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Oh man.
Um,
Uh, but yeah,
all right.
again, it was just a personal preference. Wasn't for me at all.
Okay. All right, no, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, we could talk. Hopefully, be talking in a lot more detail on the next episode. Hashtag get well sell. That could be a good place to wrap up this episode. Was there anything else you wanted to bring up before we depart today?
No, that's it.
All right, cool. In that case, yeah, so that be the end of this episode. Stranger Things is awesome. If nothing else, watch it, even though I spoiled it if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, thank you guys for watching and or listening. And yeah, hopefully be back in, well, I won't say a time frame because it depends on schedules and things, but hopefully about a month or so, give or take ish, for the next one. But yeah, we'll see how we could arrange it and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, Delicious in Dungeon is what we're planning, and hopefully that comes to fruition. But for now, thank you for watching and or listening. Until whenever, if ever, peace.